For today's video, I've managed to escape the rain, come down here to Atlanta, Georgia, where it is currently raining flower petals, to take a look at the all-new electrified GV70 from Genesis. This is one of my favorite electric SUVs for 2023, and that's not in spite of the fact that it is, at its core, a converted GV70, but rather because of the way that Genesis has decided to convert this. They didn't simply stuff an electric motor into the existing model. In fact, the sheet metal may be shared, but under the skin, this is almost a different vehicle.
This is one of those short videos where I tell you the basics, and if you want to know more, there's a link down there in the description for the full video. First up, what is it? The GV70 EV is a full electric compact luxury crossover designed to compete against the X3, the GLC, and the Q5 in gasoline form, and essentially those same options as an EV. Of course, in addition to the Model Y, the new Lexus RZ, the Jaguar I-Pace, the Q4 e-tron, but not quite something like the Lyriq, the iX, or the EQE, because those are all one size bigger, or the EQB, XC40, or maybe the Q4 e-tron, depending on your opinion, as those are one size step smaller. The interior is almost exactly the same as the regular GV70. I think this was a wise choice because the GV70 has a really great interior already. In the top-end trim, you'll get the stitched leather dash, the upgraded leather seats, a snazzy headliner. The interior style might not be everybody's cup of tea, but parts quality and fit and finish is certainly above Tesla, also above the Lexus RZ, the Jaguar I-Pace, and the Audi Q4 e-tron. I would say it's actually pretty equal to the Mercedes-Benz EQE, which is a size larger and more expensive. Now, as far as the interior dimensions go, keep in mind that the GV70 was designed to compete with an X3, and it's a rear-wheel drive-based platform like the X3. So we have that long hood rear-wheel drive proportion, and that does cut down on rear legroom. You'll notice that a Model Y will give you maybe 3 to 4 inches of extra legroom, and of course if you want that teeny tiny third row seat, you'll find that in the Model Y also.
Now let's get to the electrical nitty-gritty. A lot of folks have asked me, is this on the eGMP platform like the GV60 and the Ioniq 5? The answer is yes and no. This is sort of an electrical turducken, I guess you could say. It is an eGMP stuffed inside a Genesis rear-wheel drive platform. So the crash structures, the suspension design, the interior, the infotainment systems, that's all out of the Genesis rear-wheel drive platform, but the electrical architecture, that has all been borrowed wholesale from eGMP. So we find the same motor up front and the same motor in the back as the GV60, producing 429 horsepower with identical power output figures front and rear. This also has the same boost mode we find in the GV60, giving us 483 horsepower for 10 seconds. The linchpin of eGMP EVs has to be the 77.4 kilowatt-hour battery pack. Not only is the discharge rate absolutely excellent, so performance is nearly identical from 30% state of charge all the way up to 100% state of charge, it also charges very rapidly, 10% to 80% in just 18 minutes. And more impressive than that, 0% to 100% in about 45 minutes. So in about the time that it will take to charge your average EV, maybe 70%, you can get a 100% fill of this battery from absolute zero.
So how does the turducken drive? Well, basically like a GV70 that's gained some weight and a whole lot of power. 0 to 60 should be under 4.5 seconds, certainly making this one of the faster entries in the segment. The boost button is definitely a lot of fun. The adaptive suspension system is certainly softer than the Model Y, so if you want something that's a little bit more focused on ride quality than overt handling, you might want to look at this. But on the other hand, this is shockingly about 1,000 pounds lighter than the Cadillac Lyriq. It's only about 400 to 500 pounds heavier than a Model Y. So even though this is this interesting merge of platforms together, it manages to be fairly lightweight compared against a decent number of options. Now, part of that is because of the smaller battery pack, and as a result, we do get that shorter range of 235 miles. But that has a positive effect on the acceleration, the braking, and the handling scores. If you don't road trip regularly more than about 400 miles or so, it's probably not going to make a big difference because you'd just stop once, you'd charge for maybe 18 to 20 minutes, and you'd get on your way. On those longer road trips, though, that repetitive fast charging could be a bummer.
If you're looking to get your hands on the new GV70, this is going to be on sale right around the time that you're watching this video, and Genesis has increased the number of states where you can buy one of their new electric models. That list now includes Arizona, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Maryland, Nevada, New Jersey, New York, Texas, Utah, Virginia, Washington, and Wisconsin. That is definitely a longer list, but it is not all 50 states yet. They have said that at some point, all Genesis models will be available in all states because, logically, all Genesis models will be full electric. When that happens will likely largely depend on production capability. And this is going to be produced in the United States, specifically Alabama. That means that at the moment it is going to qualify for the full tax credit. Now, the Treasury has not released full guidance on that tax credit yet. So once the battery sourcing requirements come into effect, that is likely going to change, but we don't know when that change is going to happen and exactly what it will entail. At the moment, though, full $7,500.
So how much will it cost? Well, the base model comes in at $66,425 after destination. That's about $6,600 more than the GV60. But it gets the tax credit, and that's an interesting twist because the GV60, of course, is built in South Korea, so it doesn't qualify. Also kind of weird, the performance drivetrain from the GV60 is what we find in the GV70 standard. And in the GV60, that's actually going to cost you $2,000 more than the base GV70. So if you want 430 horsepower, basically get the GV70. It's going to be less than the GV60, even if you don't qualify for that tax credit. Now, the color palette is going to be a little bit more limiting. We only get 4 exterior colors and 2 interior colors to choose from, even on the top-end trim. But it is very well equipped. Leather upholstery is standard. Yes, real leather, not vegan leather, as is the large panoramic moonroof and the 14.5-inch nav system. We do, however, get the cheaper-looking 8-inch instrument cluster in the base model. The compensation is that all the active safety tech is standard. Adaptive cruise control, lane keeping, blind spot monitoring, the 360-degree camera, all of that is standard. If you want all the bells and whistles, you're going to want the Prestige package. That's about $73,800. That brings you up to the leather-wrapped dashboard components, the microfiber headliner, the 3D full LCD instrument cluster, the heads-up display, rear door shades, premium audio, and a number of other touches as well. That's definitely the way to go if you can afford that top-end trim. And speaking of pricing, this does slot neatly right in between a lot of these other options. Something like the Jaguar I-Pace can definitely get more expensive. Certain versions of the Tesla Model Y could be a little bit less expensive, but much like the Tesla Model Y, this is going to get the full tax credit. We don't have any leasing details yet, but it's possible that Genesis Leasing might pass that tax credit along as well. Let me know what you think of all of that, and of course, check out the full video over on the EV Buyer's Guide channel. I'll see all of you later.